As your party is making its return from the dungeon, it finds that the path is blocked. Your cart has nowhere to go, and as you hear a rustling in the bushes, a man in an outrageous purple suit and waxed mustachio steps forward. Why, what have we here? A cart full of adventurers. And booty, too. Let's roll initiative. Congratulations, you've just had your first random encounter. Random encounters are specifically designed to be exactly that, random. The whole point is to be able to spice up the session, if you will. You can interrupt travel, you can interrupt town, you can interrupt any number of things with a random encounter. Because there are any number of ways that we can use random encounters, let's go ahead and talk about the different types of random encounters. We could have random quest encounters. We could have random combat encounters. This would be any sort of fighting. We could also have random puzzle encounters. Now, I would also put perhaps the quest encounter. This might be a role-play encounter. Of course, this is hack and slash encounter, or combat encounter. And then puzzles are kind of the merry mix of the two, right? It's kind of the half and half, if you will. Now, when we're talking about quest encounters, I would definitely refer to this as our role-play encounters, as I said. But this could be, I would call it maybe the side quest encounters, right? The whole point of these is to provide your players the opportunity to divert or come off of the actual beaten path or the main plot that you have established, and give them a sense of depth. Really give our players a sense that there is a greater world happening here. The whole point of this is to let them know that there are other things going on always. So even if you do go do this side quest, the main villain is still doing his thing. And if you go chase the main villain, there might be other things going on, or other villains, other plots happening as we speak. That's the whole point of these little quests. So I would have 3 or 4 of these potential side quests just written down behind your screen somewhere, right? This could be someone has gone missing and have a little hag quest, right? This could be any number of things that you could think of that, heck, there's a number of random encounter tables. You can find them all over the place. Use them. They're a great tool. Feel free to use those. Then, of course, we have everybody's favorite random encounter, the combat encounter. This is where you should and could have any number of tables handy. You can have them established by region, by city, by heck, anything. You can set them up by CR if you want. But what I would keep in mind when we're doing random combat encounters should never be random. Never be random. The reason for this is because if you do throw out a genuinely random combat encounter, you have the potential of killing your players meaninglessly. We should never be killing them meaninglessly, right? There should always be a purpose behind it to further the plot and make it feel genuine and worthwhile. That is, of course, sometimes our players do murder hobo around and they can't help themselves, and congratulations, you played a stupid game and you won a stupid prize. Make a new character. But, like I said, these combat encounters should not be any kind of random. We should know ahead of time if this is going to be on the deadly end of the spectrum or if this is going to be on the cheesecake end of the spectrum, right? We need to plan these ahead. Otherwise, you will accidentally kill your players and they'll say, well, that wasn't very fun. They can be much more meaningful, and then they can potentially provide additional side plots for our characters, right? But like I said, don't ever let the combat encounters be random encounters. You can do it to a degree, but make sure that you have a CR in mind, right? Have a spot on the spectrum of deadly to cheesecake that you know where you need to be. The third type of random encounter is the puzzle encounter, or we could call it a utility encounter. These are opportunities for our players to use their skills. How often does a player make a cool utility skill build and then we never really give them the opportunity to use those skills? This is the time to let them shine, right? You've got some utility cleric or the rogue, right? This is the type of encounter that we should be letting them shine. And of course, if it's not combat and it's not specifically talking to people, I would just lump it into the puzzle random encounter category. This could be you come up to the canyon and the bridge is down. How do you get across the canyon? It's a simple, small moment that the players have to come together and decide, how are we going to solve this, right? It could be, how are we going to get this job done? Heck, the puzzle encounter could come from a side quest, right? So just keep that in mind whenever you are building your plot. Where is there a window that I can kind of slip in one of these puzzle or utility encounters, right? Because we talk a lot about how many encounters are you supposed to have during a 3 to 4 hour session. And per old school rules, you're supposed to have a lot, right? And based on the combat, that's not going to happen, right? 3 or 4 rounds of combat can take a long time, especially if you have a full table. But if you toss in a couple utility encounters, this gives your players the opportunity to roll the dice without having to fight anybody. So they get to role play a little bit, they get to use their character, they get to use their dice. This is D&D. This is tabletop role-playing. But you need to be deliberate in building these utility random encounters. Once again, the whole point of random encounters is to provide your players the ability to do more and provide you the ability to give depth to your world. A world that's empty of quests, right? A world that's empty of just random things happening. A world that's empty of puzzles to solve is exactly that. It's an empty world. And your players are going to be able to feel that. So as you find ways to incorporate quest encounters, combat encounters, puzzle or utility encounters, you are going to find that your players are going to be more involved and have a greater investment in your world. That investment is going to lead to having more fun at the table, and it's going to be easier to get your players back to the table. Players will prioritize you and your sessions because you have a world for them to play in. And that's the whole point of this series and this channel, is to help the world that you imagine become a reality so that you and your players can enjoy it together. That communal storytelling is what makes tabletop role-playing games enjoyable. Hope you had a good time, and we'll see you next time.